A remarkable man, Mr. Gurdjieff writes, is one who stands out from those around him by the resourcefulness of his mind, and who knows how to be restrained in the manifestations which proceed from his nature, at the same time conducting himself justly and tolerantly towards the weaknesses of others. Mr. Gurdjieff loved and respected his father deeply. Of all the remarkable men Gurdjieff writes about in the book, the very first he speaks about is his father, whose influence, he says, left its trace on the whole of my life. His father, an amateur poet and bard, was well known throughout Transcaucasia as Ashok Adash. As his young son grew up, he filled him with poetic images and high ideals, reciting by heart the ancient legends of Gilgamesh, the flood before the flood, and the 1001 Nights. His father also educated Gurdjieff for adulthood by teaching him to be inwardly strong and indifferent to ordinary fears. In the frosty early mornings, for example, his father would force Gurdjieff to get up and go outside and splash himself with cold water and then run around naked. Of this special training, Gurdjieff would later say, "If it had not been for this, I would have never been able to overcome all the obstacles and difficulties that I had to encounter later during my travels." He saw his father as a highly honorable and honest man. His father had told him that the fundamental striving of every man should be to create for himself an inner freedom towards life and to prepare for himself a happy old age. Gurdjieff closes the 17-page chapter, My Father, by writing, "Owing to circumstances of my life not dependent on me, I have not personally seen the grave where the body of my dear father lies, and it is unlikely that I will ever be able, in the future, to visit his grave. I therefore, in concluding this chapter devoted to my father, bid any of my sons, whether by blood or in spirit, to seek out, when he has the possibility, this solitary grave, abandoned by force of circumstances, ensuing chiefly from that human scourge called the herd instinct, and there to set up a stone with the inscription, I am thou, thou art I. He is ours, we both are his, so may all be for our neighbor." These words of Mr. Gurdjieff's I first read some 50 years ago. Like many others, I've read and studied the book countless times since. But never did Mr. Gurdjieff's admonition to seek out his father's grave speak to me directly. That is until recently when I picked up the book and I turned to the chapter My Father. The words not only spoke, they deeply resonated. And I knew I was being called to seek out his father's grave, to go on a pilgrimage. Please come with me.